In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to make the mini basket weave stitch. This is a very easy front and back post double crochet alternating stitch. All you'll need to know how to do is double crochet, and if you have any experience with front and back post double crochet, that will come in handy. It's basically a smaller, more condensed version of a traditional basket weave stitch that's really easy to do. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using an N or P 10mm hook and some Woolies Thick and Quick bulky weight yarn. You can use this stitch with any weight yarn and its corresponding hook size. I just wanted to use a bigger yarn so that it's easier for you to see my stitches, where I'm placing them, and how everything should look. You can use this stitch tutorial to make my mini basket weave crochet pattern for a blanket that's over on my blog, and it's linked in the description box below. So we're going to go ahead and start with a string of foundation chains. You're going to start with an even number of foundation chains. I'm just going to work up a small swatch here so you can see how the stitch pattern should look, but for a blanket or any other project you can use any even number of stitches here. So go ahead and keep chaining until you have your desired even number of stitches. This is how your chain should look, nice and loose. I'm going to double crochet in the third stitch from my hook. So regular double crochet. Move your yarn out of the way if it's bothering you like it was me. Go ahead and double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So you should still have an even number of double crochets here. If you're unfamiliar with double crochet or front or back post double crochet, I do have individual stitch tutorial videos if you search that over on my main channel page. So go ahead and double crochet in each stitch all the way across. This is how it should be looking so far. Once you have a row of double crochets, you should have an even number of stitches. Go ahead and chain 2 and turn. Now working across the back side of our work, we're going to work a regular double crochet in the very first stitch, this first one right next to our chain. Regular double crochet, and this is where the mini basket weave is going to begin. So what we're going to do is we're going to work a front post double crochet around the next chain, or the next stitch, I'm sorry, in the row. So this is the second stitch here. We're going to work a front post double crochet. So that's yarn over. We're going to insert our hook around the post of the stitch, just like so. Now we're going to yarn over. With nice loose tension, we're going to pull up a loop. Make sure everything isn't too tight here. We have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is our front post double crochet. It should be sitting kind of up off the fabric, sitting forward. Now around this next stitch, we're going to work a back post double crochet around this stitch here, the very next one. So that's yarn over, insert your hook around the post of the stitch from the back, just like so. We can see here that you should see the hook from the front. It should be working around itself coming from the back. We're going to yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2 with loose tension, remember, and yarn over, pull through 2. So now at this point we have a regular double crochet, a front post, and a back post, and we're going to keep alternating front post and back post double crochet all the way across. So now we're going to front post double crochet, and then back post double crochet. And we're going to continue this pattern all the way across until we have 1 stitch left in the row. So go ahead and alternate front and back post no matter how many stitches you have in your swatch or your blanket or whatever it is you're making. You're just going to go ahead and keep alternating. And I'll just go ahead and finish this row and show you how I'm doing it. If you're not used to doing front or back post stitches, it can be a little cumbersome at first, but you will find your groove. So even if you're just testing out this stitch and trying out a swatch, don't get discouraged. If it feels a little awkward at first, if you're not used to these stitches, it can be a little bit cumbersome at first. It's also worth noting that this mini basket weave stitch is quite a yarn eater. So if you have a bunch of extra yarn in your stash that you're looking for a project to use up all of that extra stuff, this is a great possible yarn or stitch to use for that yarn. So now we have 1 stitch left. We've ended on a back post double crochet. And we're just going to work a regular double crochet here on the last stitch. What this is going to do is give us nice even edges on the ends of our work, and we're always going to start and end our rows with a regular double crochet to kind of frame out our mini basket weave stitch. So go ahead and chain up 2. We're going to turn our work. We're going to do the same thing again, so we're going to double crochet in the first stitch. And now at this point, we're going to kind of work the opposite of what we see. So what we see here is what looks like a front post double crochet. So we're going to work the opposite. We're going to work a back post double crochet over it. So whatever it looks like to you when it's facing you, we're going to do the opposite. So now the next stitch looks like a back post as we look at the fabric now. So we're going to work a front post on it. And when you're working these opposites, it might, again, feel or look a little awkward to work the opposite of what you see because it's going to kind of pull the fabric in the opposite direction that it wants to lay. But that is what creates the mini basket weave or kind of the mock seed stitch kind of look. So again, the next stitch looks like a front post, so we're going to work a back post double crochet. And the next stitch looks like a back post, so we're going to work a front post double crochet. Now I don't want to confuse you too much, especially if you're a bit of a beginner crocheter or if you're not super familiar with post stitches. But if we were to match up these stitches from the row below, if we were looking at this from the other side of the fabric as if we had just finished row 2, all of these stitches would be backwards. And what I mean by that is this next stitch I'm about to work looks like a front post to us, but really when we worked it originally, it was a back post double crochet when we were looking at the other side of the fabric. But don't pay attention to that, and if I've completely confused you, completely ignore everything I just said. Only work the stitches as you see them when they face you. So if we see a stitch that looks like a back post double crochet as it faces us and as we look at the fabric, like this one here, go ahead and work a front post double crochet on it. Don't worry about whatever it was when we worked that particular stitch, if that makes sense. Just work the opposite of what you see. Now the last stitch in the row, again, double crochet, regular old double crochet here. And we're going to just repeat that row 3, chain up 2 and turn. We're going to repeat that row 3 until we have the length that we want. And really, there's no counting or calculating with this pattern. If you just follow what you see, and you always start and end with a regular double crochet. So again, just work the opposite of whatever it is that's the stitch in front of you. I'll show you how I start again. Regular double crochet in the first stitch. Second stitch looks like a back post double crochet to me, so I'm going to work a front post double crochet here. You can always tell if it's a front or back post by what way it's sitting. So if it's laying on top of the fabric facing you, it's a front post. If it's laying on the back of the fabric away from you, it's a back post. Go ahead and work the opposite. So here we see a front post. We're going to work a back post over it. And we're just going to keep doing that until we have the length that we would like. Very, very simple, especially once you work a couple of rows. You may be able to just watch this video and be able to now work this stitch and get creative with all different ways to use it in all different types of projects. So go ahead and keep working with it. Work up a few more rows and you will have a swatch or a blanket or a project that looks a little something like this. We can see that there's lots and lots of texture here. This variegated pinky purple Woolies Thick and Quick is a little bit harder to see the texture, but I'll show you that mini basket weave blanket that I had the beginning of this video here again in a minute, but I just want to show you how it looks kind of like a basket weave. Things are woven in and out, very linear, and it's just a really great tight stitch. There's not a lot of gapping. It's very, very warm, especially when you use a thicker wool-based yarn like this one. And you can also play with your hook size, play with your yarn size to achieve different looks, different feels, and different textures, even just with the same stitch. So go ahead and head on over to my blog at the link in the description box below to make your mini basket weave blanket that you see here. There's also lots of fun projects coming up using this stitch, so make sure that you subscribe to my channel and check out new videos that I post very regularly. Thanks so much for watching.